Hello Team FD and welcome back to Team Talk, where we bring the Football Daily WhatsApp group to life. Crashing the chat today, it's Joseph Tomlinson, it's Zach Gelab, it's Patrick Van Straten and Sam Abasaki. Oh, you two on the same side of the table, but will you be on the same side today?
Probably not.
Emotionally.
How is everyone?
Very well, thank you.
Good, mate.
Life is good.
Yeah.
How was your sermon this morning?
Very good, very good. Lots of money raised for the church.
Good.
Into my pocket.
Well, let's keep this short and sweet because the batteries are running out of charge. And, you know the point of the show by now is to not get kicked out of the chat come the end, which will happen to whoever scores the fewest points.
I forget that is the point of the show, to be honest.
Never happened.
One day it will.
It's
One day
never
it will.
happened.
And that's if you guys get 10,000 likes on this video.
Okay.
I like that.
Or if one of our guests says yes, then we will do it.
No fee. Let's roll into round one. Round one is, of course, the rule of one. This is where we start one, bench one, and release one. That's been a very useful change from sell one. Joseph, this is the first time you've taken on this iteration of the game, though.
No more selling,
Much better.
boy.
Shout out to whichever the commenter was that suggested that, because it's the right decision.
Yeah, we thought it might upset you though, because you're always flogging players.
Reduce the controversy.
Yes.
Yeah. All right then. First segment is all about the Golden Boy. Let's revisit the award because a little bit controversial. People weren't happy with Gavi getting it right over Bellingham, over Camavinga. So give you the opportunity to say your piece here. So start, bench, release, Gavi, Camavinga, Jude Bellingham.
Oh, I thought it was going to be
Okay.
Musiala.
And of course, this is if you had these players
This isn't necessarily.
in your make-believe side.
This isn't necessarily who deserves the Golden Boy, is it? Really, it's who you want to start.
Yes, this is if you had these three at your disposal. Gelab FC, what are you doing with them? 3, 2, 1, flip.
I think we're all the exact same. Oh, you idiots.
I knew he was going to do that.
You
I knew he was gonna do that, though.
idiot.
I knew he was going to do
Why
that.
is Bellingham being released? He is arguably the most
Did you really feel
gifted out of all of them, all-round midfielder. Can do everything.
They're all
Why
arguably
could
the
that
most
be
gifted out of all of them.
controversial for no
That's
reason,
the
man?
aim of the game.
Hold on, right? Zach's gone hard from the get-go. Let's give Patrick a chance
All
to
three
defend
of us
himself.
are the same, but
Okay.
yes, Pat, please.
Okay. Worth
Here's the
acknowledging.
thing. If Camavinga was the English one and Bellingham wasn't, you'd all have Camavinga to start.
Not true.
But
It's
no.
true of literally all of
No,
them.
you know what? No. Wait.
Yes,
wait,
it
wait,
is.
wait,
No.
wait. Can I say something yet? I actually, and I'll be honest, I actually rate Camavinga the most out of all of these players. But
You're not starting him.
wait. If we're talking about what? Oh yeah.
Is that the sound of my argument being made for me?
So the point I made earlier about
Have I got my hand up their arse like a ventriloquist dummy? Why are you making my point for me?
Camavinga doesn't play often enough to be starting. Bellingham has proven that he can play week in, week out. Camavinga, yes, he was very good for Real Madrid when he was coming off the bench. This season hasn't featured
When
as
he won the
much.
Champions League and League.
Yes, but he came on last 15 minutes. Like that's the
20,
reality.
15 minutes.
That's the
Why
reality.
have you got Gavi ahead of Bellingham?
Yeah.
That was just because I thought it was
Just
funny.
about
No, but I do think Gavi is genuinely an unusual player in the range of different things he can do and the different roles he can play. Like Camavinga, Bellingham, that's a much fairer comparison, right? Because they are fundamentally
All action.
well, actually,
all-round.
except for maybe this season, they are similar kinds of players. Gavi's a totally different guy. Like his ability to flex between an attacking midfield role, a wing role, drop into the deep midfield and do ball progression.
Yeah.
And Gavi's a bit of a difficult one as well because he's kind of gone in and out of the side. And there have also been periods where you think, if it weren't for the fact that Pedri is such an outstanding kind of ball magnet, what would Gavi look like in this team? Gavi's an incredibly young player. Like realistically, Bellingham gets loads and loads of minutes because he is on by far the weakest team of these three.
Not his fault though.
I know. It's not criticism of him.
Smart,
but
if
I'm
anything.
saying, but I'm
he's
saying,
also proven
but I'm
himself,
saying
innit?
that I'm saying Camavinga is trying to get into a midfield which has won like 4 Champions Leagues in the last 6-7 years.
He could also be playing with Camavinga next
No, but
season.
you're saying that kind of extinguishes your argument that it should be decided by minutes.
Not just minutes, but that's what I'm saying. Like they're in a similar conversation. Like, but the reality is Bellingham plays more. He's proven himself on like consistently. Like if Camavinga was playing this season and he was playing week in,
How
week
many
out,
90s
and
did you watch of Bellingham last season?
90 minutes.
How many 90 minutes?
I
did you
can't
watch of Bellingham
calculate
last
how
season?
many 90 minutes. If we want to
Really?
do maths,
You can't
we can
count
do
to 3 or 4?
We can do that in another show if we want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the stats. Because you're a stats man, right?
That is a stat.
You're a stats man, right?
How many
Who plays more
90s
90
have you
minutes?
seen?
Who plays more 90 minutes?
Who plays to a higher standard?
Bellingham. Who came in this season for Real Madrid? Tchouaméni. Does he play in a similar role to Camavinga? Is he benched? Yes.
If this were how it would work, then we wouldn't need to do the Golden Boy Award. We could just nominate a bunch of guys. Then we could go down all their
this
minutes.
isn't
So you
Golden
played
Boy
the most
Award.
minutes, and
But
there he
that's
goes.
not
He
the
wins
point.
the Golden
This is
Boy.
not- because also-
Yeah, but
It's what they're doing with
yeah, but
those
what I'm
minutes,
saying
though.
is Camavinga is a better player than Bellingham.
No,
Camavinga puts
that's-
up more defensive
that's a-
actions. He's
that's
a
a
better
different
aggressive
conversation.
passer.
So this is where it comes
That's a
into my
different
point of why I've
He's better at
started,
everything he does than Bellingham.
but why I've started Bellingham
And that's
is
not criticism. Like,
if I was a
Camavinga
manager,
and
if I was a
Bellingham
manager
both great,
if I'm manager of Jelab FC, right?
which you
I
should be.
I should be. Quite
Then we
you
can
know,
all agree.
One of the things why I put Bellingham to start is for a player to be playing in midfield the way he does, where he can do literally anything you want him to. And I know Camavinga is of a similar mould, but I think in an attacking sense, Bellingham is much better.
Okay.
In a defensive sense, I would actually put Camavinga ahead of him.
Hmm.
However, with the way I would like my midfield to be working, I want Bellingham to be leading that midfield. And midfield three, ideally, he'd be the one going furthest forward.
Are you going for he's the most well-rounded player
Exactly,
argument?
yeah,
When you-
exactly.
but
And I
he's
think
not
he
more
would-
well-rounded though. I think Camavinga, some of his strongest moments have been when he's been allowed to push forward. And what you're saying is you're
How
saying
often,
you're saying
though,
Bellingham
man?
can do anything in the midfield except play the defensive role better than
But he
Camavinga,
can-
except play the metronome
when-
passer
when
better
have
than
When have you seen
Camavinga.
But I don't-
Camavinga do it going forward?
Camavinga did it in his early stages when he went to Real Madrid. He was actually being frequently
In
brought
maybe
on as the
15,
most
20 minute impact sub.
Because
Bellingham-
we're seeing
yeah, but
Bellingham
but
play
Champions
for
League games.
But Bellingham,
England.
no, Bellingham, you're seeing the highlights of him doing it in Champions
I'm
League
not- I'm
games.
watching
And actually,
Bellingham-
let's be honest.
I watched Bellingham
Let's be honest, and let's be honest. Like
Such
at
a
Dortmund
poor
this
way to
season,
argue.
he's been missing
I
a ton of
watched-
chances for
I watched
them,
Bellingham at
and
the
he's
Etihad.
actually not really doing the normal
I
midfield
watched
work
Bellingham
anymore.
at the Etihad and at the Westfalen Stadion. be
He's
the
had
best player
some
on
of
the
his
pitch.
he's had some of his best games against Man City. That's definitely true. But also he's had some pretty defensively suspect games this season when Dortmund, let's be honest, have been
But
appalling
then you could
defensively.
the point you were making earlier, you could also level in favour of Bellingham there that the players around him aren't able to bring him up to that level. Whereas
but I'm
Camavinga
not.
could potentially be
But my
being
argument
carried
isn't
by
that.
some of the
But my
midfielders
argument
around him.
isn't that Bellingham isn't excellent and doesn't deserve like credit. I'm saying that Camavinga deserves credit for being a
I
better
think
player
right
than
now-
doing
I've
everything
seen
better
I
than
think
him.
right now, if all three of these players were at Real Madrid, Bellingham would be getting the most minutes.
I believe that as well.
Which
Yeah,
might,
I don't
which
think that's
two of them might be next season, to be quite honest.
I don't.
I think
think that's true.
Gavi for me has. to
I
be-
think that's a claim that you can make. It's a reasonable claim you can make, but I don't really think,
I think-
it's based on it.
I think Gavi has to
because
be-
Bellingham isn't going to play the role better than Valverde.
Who do you
He's
think
not
has a
gonna play the role
higher
better than
ceiling,
Tchouaméni.
Pat, Camavinga or Bellingham?
I've no idea. Like I think they've both got world class ceilings. It's very
think they're
difficult.
similar.
Your
I
argument
think
feels quite current.
I think they're very similar players. No, Camavinga has actually
Camavinga's
been
a
doing it
fabulous
for a much
player.
longer
But I just
time.
think we've just seen more of Bellingham. Like, there's nothing wrong with.
That's
Bellingham.
actually not true. Camavinga's been playing at the highest level far longer than Bellingham.
I think they're in a similar space. I don't think it's.
That's
mad.
what I'm
I don't
saying.
think it's mad to bench.
Yeah,
Bellingham,
that's the
but
thing.
you're
To
releasing-
put him
you're
releasing over
releasing
Gavi.
him.
But
Yeah.
look at the
Which
play.
is
But look at
fair.
the players you're releasing him against. It's not like I'm just saying I'd release Bellingham because he's crap. I'm saying
Let's
I'd
be
release him
real.
because I'd
But
rather
we've not
keep
even mentioned
Gavi
Gavi in this
and
conversation.
Camavinga.
really,
If we
because
are
I don't
talking
think
about
he's in-
Gavi,
I've talked about.
if
I
we-
used to get
I
my
think if we're
arguments with
talking about
Gavi.
Gavi, and the reason that I'm releasing Gavi is
Yeah.
that I think he is substantially worse than Bellingham and Camavinga. I think that he makes up for a lot of his shortcomings on the ball by fantastic work off the ball, and he is a pressing monster. He does put up huge numbers in terms of off the ball commitment to the team. Fair enough. But he isn't as technically good as Bellingham and Camavinga on the ball. And if we were real,
Wow.
he isn't as good as the other options Barcelona have in midfield. And if we're being totally honest, if it wasn't Xavi at the helm, I don't believe
He's
he'd
not-
be getting a
Facts, and
sniff
that's
over
why
He's
He's
not
better
as
than
technically
Shoelace
good
as
as
well,
Bellingham. Is quite an interesting
I don't
statement
think
because I would say of these three,
I don't think he is. And I also
and I would
don't
say
think-
Bellingham's maybe my favourite player of these three. I would say of these three, Bellingham is by far the worst technically.
I don't think if
By
I think if
far.
we're being real and Xavi wasn't at the helm, I
He's
don't
got
think
other
Gavi would
abilities.
be even
He's got match
starting
intelligence.
over Frankie De Jong. I think he would be on par maybe with
I think
Frank
that's
Kessié.
but I think that's fine. I think it's fine for him not to be starting
Bellingham
over
would be
Frankie De Jong.
guaranteed
That's not a
starting in
particular
that Barcelona
criticism.
midfield.
Facts.
I don't know if that's true because if Frankie De Jong isn't guaranteed to start, and let's be honest,
But you know
Frankie
why
De Jong
that-
is
you know-
way better than
But you
Bellingham
know
as
why
well.
that is?
He would be,
He
mate.
almost ruined their coming.
But then you're just making an
we're
argument
all
about
saying that
like
Frankie
how
De Jong
he
should
would
be.
be preferred
You're saying
by.
Frankie De Jong should be started.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same as Bellingham. Would
No,
be
I'm saying
started
I'm saying
for
I'd start him for that central midfield
Over
role, but I
Gavi.
might play Gavi in different roles.
All right, let's wrap this up and decide who's Frankie de Wrong.
I think you're all triggered because he's English.
I really don't, honestly.
I think
no.
No,
That's low hanging fruit.
It's not
that.
that.
Is low hanging fruit.
It's
We're
not
far more
that. It's
reasonable
not
with that.
that.
Not
Harry
tolerating
Kane's earned
that.
every penalty he's ever
Not
been
tolerating that.
given.
No, hold on. We're going to wrap this.
Take a
because
point off him. Take a point off him.
We're in
I'm the only one with the courage of my
R9
convictions here.
territory here.
But that is
from the last episode. I'm not having it twice in 2 weeks, all right? Okay, the points are going to
Oh, Bellingham.
Joe and Pat. Okay?
Wow.
to Pat.
Yeah, for being correct.
For being
I'm
wrong,
not saying that I agree
for
with
being
him, but he
brave.
defended his
For
point
making good
pretty
arguments.
well.
You
Yes.
can just say anything.
Yes,
It's
because
just
part
bollocks.
of the show is getting points for making good arguments.
It wasn't good
True that.
arguments.
So if you
It
can't-
wasn't a good
what
argument.
was your
bro.
argument?
You said,
Jude
"Oh, you don't
Bellingham.
watch him enough. You don't
Oh,
watch
the
him enough.
streets
You
won't
don't watch
forget.
football
Oh,
enough
he's a
either." So
baller.
what's the
He's a
point?
baller.
Where does your point come from? You don't watch football enough anyway.
All good B-roll.
Round
All
two?
good B-roll, this.
Round two?
Oh, Saf thinks I'm cool.
Question 2. Okay, here we go. This made far more sense when we had Chelsea and Arsenal related guests, but we're going to persevere with it. Yes,
It'll
that's
still
right.
work. There's
Still got
majority
Chelsea and
of us,
Arsenal.
yeah.
Shock, Joe was not, as a Manchester United fan, first choice for
Joe was
this,
originally a Chelsea fan
for
when
this
he was younger.
lineup, but
Joe's been defending Arsenal in the group chat lately.
he
Can I just
has.
point that
He's a
out?
Mikel Arteta.
Convert, because I didn't use
Convert.
to didn't use
Convert
to
was the word I was looking for. I was going to say apologist. That would have been wrong.
That
Right, here
would
we
have
go.
been fine.
So I've gone for 3 strikers
Oof.
who have played for both sides of the divide, and we are picking them, taking their peak into consideration.
Okay, cool.
All right?
Okay,
So we've
at their
got
peak.
Aubameyang, we've got Anelka, and we've got Giroud. And while you're all waiting, I would just
I'm
like
sorry,
to say
but
that
this is
Bellingham
easy.
is by far the best of those 3
At their
aforementioned
peak,
players.
I think in about 4
Him
years.
and Declan Rice in
Classic
midfield next
Brexit
year.
Hamill,
I think in about
full
4
effect.
years, Gavi won't even be playing for us.
Okay.
I reckon he'll be playing for like.
Put a bet on it.
Athletic
Put a bet on
Bilbao.
it. Shake hands.
But we're talking
Shake
about how
hands.
good they are now, so it doesn't matter.
Shake hands.
Yes, in 4 years,
I actually
Gavi
can't
will
believe how
be
pissed off
so
you all
big.
are, like, after completely
Wasn't pissed off.
anodyne
I gave you a
discussion.
point.
No, I'm talking about him and him.
Right, okay, let's go.
Mostly him. Look at him.
I'm
Look
just
at this
waiting to
guy.
touch-
Let's go.
Next one, next one.
Can we
Please
finish
turn
that
it before this
ages
starts.
ago?
done.
Turn,
I'm
turn.
done. This
After
is easy.
turn the boards.
3, 2, 1, go.
Aubameyang over Anelka.
By far.
Aubameyang over Anelka. Anelka over Aubameyang. So we're the same. You two are the same. Please let me know why you think Aubameyang
Aubameyang
Very
at his
polite.
better than Anelka.
I will remember that politeness as
Aubameyang
well.
at his best was a goal a game player.
And
And
you're
Anelka was
a-
very, very good, but was
where's
never at
the-
that level.
which best do you-
Dortmund.
So you're saying Dortmund.
And you know that
Early
first half
Arsenal-
season
yeah,
he had at
yeah,
Arsenal
fine.
where he scored, what was it, 10 in 11?
Yeah.
Aubameyang at his best was a goal a game player. One of the best strikers in the world by far. Amazing at getting chances. Never a particularly great finisher, but amazing at getting chances. Also could play on the wing. Anelka at his best, he could get 20 goals, but I think he only did that once or twice in his career. He was top scorer at Chelsea in that season when
He was
were
also-
phenomenal under Ancelotti.
And he was also competing against having to play with Didier Drogba, who was kind of the focus point of that Chelsea team, along with also then Joe Cole as well.
Well,
stepping
though
in.
the system was geared to create chances for Anelka, which is why Anelka outscored Drogba, who, in my mind, was the vastly superior player.
But Aubameyang never
Even
had
though
to
he couldn't
compete
score
with
any
a
goals.
striker like that in a team.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Fourth.
actually, when he joined Dortmund, let's not
there's
forget that
nothing-
he was a winger playing alongside Lewandowski, and then obviously as well, we had Lacazette and Aubameyang.
I didn't realise those two were in the same team.
Yeah, I did not know.
So there were times that we had to do it. Anelka was I actually think that the best Anelka was 19-year-old Anelka at Arsenal before we
Yeah,
signed
and
him
he
to Real
was
Madrid, and he was phenomenal. But when you look at his goal
Do
scoring
you not
record,
think
it,
as well?
it doesn't compare
Do
to
you not think as well, like prime-wise, playing at their best? Obviously, Aubameyang
also there are the
was.
problems Anelka brings to your team.
Oh, to be fair,
Because if-
that I actually haven't thought about.
And that's the thing. If his start bench sell, that was
Some
one of
celebration.
that was the only thing that could separate them because they're both.
And we're just
they're-
pretending that
they're-
Aubameyang hasn't had problems. And how
Yeah,
was
but
kicked
that-
out of Arsenal and thrown out by Arteta.
Sure,
on
but
his height and
he had a much longer
But
period.
that was-
Anelka was changing club every 2-3 years at one stage.
And that was a small. That was a small. Period.
But at my
Yeah.
club,
Well,
all he's
those are
staying
down to
forever.
personal issues.
I'm glad you've all touched upon this because the reason I included Giroud was because he's a good teammate, a
Unproblematic.
facilitator, an
Unproblematic.
enabler.
And look,
I
people-
thought
Yeah,
that
but
might buy him some more.
And anyone that's ever anyone that's ever played with
credit.
Can we be real?
anyone that's
Right.
ever played with Giroud say that he's the best striker they've played with because he
And he's a great
allows them
person
to
to
do
have in
better.
the-
I just thought it might be a
But he's
bone of
not.
contention.
Because he's so crappy,
And it's
not.
not.
And he looks. He's the best.
My
he's the best
impression,
looking.
my impression of
He's
Giroud
good,
would just be
isn't he?
me like doing flicks around the corner that go nowhere.
Who's
No,
the-
Giroud
who's
had a
better
lot of
looking?
ability. Giroud had a lot of ability, but like Aubameyang at his best was world class, and Anelka at his best was close to world class, and Giroud at his best
Top
was
class.
very good.
I know I can't say enough or remember enough of Aubameyang at Dortmund. If that's the time that you're saying.
No,
that
but
he was
even
there
at
for.
Arsenal, I think even at Arsenal when he was
was
No,
banging
for sure.
goals,
phenomenal
he
in
was
But
those
really good
goals.
for
Anelka,
Arsenal.
mate,
was
but Anelka
phenomenal,
at
yeah.
Arsenal was unbelievable.
He had
Anelka
one
at
season at
Chelsea
Arsenal.
was great. Anelka at Real Madrid.
I'm sorry, but
He's
neither of
creatively
these
good.
has a scoring record anything close to Aubameyang's. Anything close to Aubameyang's.
Yeah.
They simply don't. Like now, might think
And I
that
do
other
think-
But I
things
thought as
make
well-
them
as
better.
Anelka
Like
got-
Giroud's much more of a
But as
facilitator
Anelka
than these
got
two,
older, as well, and didn't have to rely on necessarily pace and everything like that, he was still a fantastic goal scorer. And obviously, Aubameyang still is pretty fast. You're seeing him at Chelsea score every goal every now and again, but he is also not doing that much up top else.
Yeah,
other
but-
things.
yeah,
Whereas
but he's-
Anelka was continuously
think
By
that-
a
this
threat.
stage, like Anelka was pretty much finished.
I just think
You've
that
been pretty.
there's-
Go on then.
I
Then
just think-
you've been pretty quiet.
I think for me, when I was growing up watching Anelka, I think I agree Aubameyang's definitely a better goal scorer. I think Anelka was a better footballer. all round than
Okay.
Aubameyang.
I can
Who
hear
Aubameyang's definitely deadly in the box and has
Yeah.
been throughout his entire career. But my memories of Anelka were often watching him make these sort of breakneck runs, drift past players, which I don't really associate with Aubameyang. I mean, Giroud's another good goal scorer as well, but I agree. Compared to these two, I think a bit more of a facilitator. I just remember Anelka being a more well-rounded footballer. I
More
think
aesthetically pleasing on the eye, for sure. Yeah.
Aubameyang's record, no doubt, is superior, but his all-round game, Anelka, I think, was like a joy to watch. That's the reason I
Kind of reverse trajectories.
He was a
right?
fun footballer
Yeah,
as well.
but that's the thing with
Aubameyang was fun.
Anel, it's tough because, like you said, when he was 19, he was quality. When he was at Chelsea, he was really good. But there was patches in his career where you didn't even really remember he was.
Respect West Brom Anelka. Respect.
But
West
and
Brom.
Matt,
And City and Elka. And Liverpool and
That's
Elka.
West Brom Anelka isn't prime Anelka.
If we're talking about strikers and you want to build a team around a striker that's going to bag you a goal every week, Aubameyang is that man.
I don't think
especially
he
when
builds-
he was in his
I
prime.
He is that man.
I don't know if you build your
Goal
team
scorer,
around
yes.
Aubameyang.
I wouldn't build a
Player.
team
But
around
Exactly,
him.
where you
But that's
build your
just-
team
if
around
you want
Anelka.
to build a team
Well, you
around a striker
build
that
your
scores
own.
goals
If you've got
consistently,
goals
you're going to
scoring
build a
wide,
team around Aubameyang.
Hold on, let's try and have two different arguments at two different times. Right, I reckon.
I think that's a good argument. Like, it's just that.
I like both, and look, to be honest,
We're all agreed Giroud's getting released.
I don't think I'll be awarding any points, but I won't be deducting any either because all the arguments pretty sensible. Didn't even say at the start
Then
that
everyone should
bad
get points,
arguments
shouldn't
get
they?
deducted points.
You should lose a point.
Yeah, for bad presenting, I should lose a point. -1 for me. Right, let's move on to the debate round. Time for round 2 then. This is everyone's favourite round. It's the debate round. And on today's episode, we're going to decide who is better placed to end Manchester City's dominance in the coming years. Yep, we are going to pretend that that's a thing.
Going to end.
Arsenal or Chelsea, okay? And the rules are best argument gets a point, worst argument gets deducted a point. And if you convert someone to your list, Brucey bonus, okay? No 1 to 4 this week. We're going to go straight up battle mode, all right?
right one club.
Yeah, so it's going to be A or B.
Oh,
That's
I
a very.
actually don't know, man.
That's a really difficult decision.
Round 1. Who has the better manager? Right on your board, Chelsea or Arsenal? Mad that Postecoglou's better than both of them.
It's a really, really difficult question.
I love it.
Oh,
I love it when it actually stumps you. You lot are like,
this is
release
tough,
Giroud
man.
en masse.
A lot of tension around
Yeah.
Sam's answer.
There isn't, to be fair.
3, 2, 1, flip. Oh,
He said, "Who has the better manager?" You've written Arteta. You've written Potter. I just say you should have written the name.
Arsenal.
good stuff.
Chelsea.
I know what you mean. So we've got the Chelsea boys defending Chelsea,
Pens run out.
the neutral going
He's an
Arteta,
Arsenal
and the Arsenal fan
now.
going Arsenal.
Okay, look, I'll start off. As I said, this
what's
will-
happened? Hey, what's happened to this lid?
this was tough. Yeah, this wasn't easy. And especially with Potter obviously having just got in charge. But I think the experience that Potter has had with previous clubs, and I just and I think I've used this before as well against Arteta. And this isn't to say Arteta's a bad manager, not at all. In fact, if anything, he's actually really, really impressed me over the past year or so. But with the experience that Potter has had in obviously going in title challenges in other countries, and obviously his explorations in
Explorations?
in the lower leagues,
I love
and
it.
obviously in other countries, I feel like he's maybe
Sweden,
better
Östersunds,
he's
Swansea.
maybe better suited for a title charge. But I will say this is like 51% Chelsea, 49% Arsenal. Like I think it's a really tough question. This, and both are actually both.
What would you say to Arteta's competed at a more elite level?
No,
playing wise.
I can.
Would that not?
I mean, playing wise.
Would that not help fill some of the?
Not really. Jose
Playing-wise.
Mourinho came in and destroyed the Premier League, and he barely had a playing career. I just think, and maybe I will also say maybe there's a little bit of bias in there, just to like to think that Potter can do it. I also think, I know you're just saying manager-wise, but I do think as well the fact that like if Potter was at Arsenal and Arteta was at Chelsea, I think you might say Arteta there because of the way that
I'll tell you now,
Chelsea
Arteta would
are
have been
winning.
sacked.
No,
Yeah,
for
facts.
Which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
part
Which
of
is
it.
part
No,
of the
for
reason
sure.
I'm saying
Exactly.
Arteta.
Okay, so I think we're making.
Totally.
But I don't think you give Potter a 5-year contract. He's the second manager ever in 20 years to get given a 5-year contract.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Means nothing.
But it does
I
have
found this
different
hard.
ownership.
Hold
I
on,
found
let's
this hard to decide.
Yeah, 100%.
And now the more I think about it, the more I think it's an easy decision. Which is that Arsenal have come through really bad periods under Arteta, and he's shown an ability to keep the board on side and not get fired, and keep the players on side and continue to get them to buy into his project.
There's only
But
so-
he had a lot of
Sorry, yeah, go on,
space.
go on.
That's an undeniable fact.
Sorry.
Like you
Speak.
can't deny
I'll
that
go
without
after.
being
I'll go after.
stupid. Like he has kept his job during periods where
No, for
Arsenal
sure.
were terrible, really bad.
But Arsenal
As
fans
bad
worried
as the
about.
Emery stuff, I
Yeah,
thought. Whereas with Potter, it is still an open question. One, whether he can get big players and get the club
Yeah,
to
I
stay
agree.
on his side when things are difficult. And two, the only other thing I have about Potter is that he does do a lot of galaxy brain. You know, he does do a lot of weird formation
Does
stuff.
a lot of Galaxy brain.
Pep has earned the right to do it because Pep didn't
Yeah,
do it in his
okay.
early career and had a lot of success.
Yeah.
The only
Are
question
we
is,
talking Sterling at wing back?
we're talking about weird formational stuff. We're talking about like,
sure.
we're talking about like basically fielding 2 left backs. We're talking about all sorts of weird stuff that Potter's done, including at Brighton.
Yeah.
If the going
where
gets
he's-
tough, that sort of stuff might wear thin on the players. I hear you.
Yes, so that's the one concern. But the question here was not about who is the better manager, where I think there it's pretty much a
You think
straight up
who's
and down
gonna
question.
last
Is that
longer?
this is about who is better placed, you know, to kind of keep their job at that club, really, in a way. And you're saying it's Chelsea, but I think that's so ahistorical.
I know it's tough.
Like Chelsea is a horrible
Let
club to try
Sam
and stay in
speak. Let
charge
Sam
of.
speak, because he hasn't made an argument
Yeah,
yet.
no. So I was gonna say, what you guys have said in terms of them being at a similar level is correct. The only thing is, I feel like what you said about Arsenal, him getting a lot more grace in that period where, you know, they finished 8th twice in a row, then they finished 5th, kind of bottled Champions League football. That was anyone else. Don't want to bring it into it, but they were bringing up managers that were in and around, like Gerrard and Lampard. If they were in that role, would have been sacked or whatever. I think right now he's got a squad where yes, he's building to compete against Man City, compete against Liverpool, but we're even seeing cracks, not huge cracks, but we're seeing that. I don't know if they have like. I don't know if he has the team or if he will ever be able to get the full team that he needs to compete against a team like City. With Chelsea, I feel like they're going to have the resources. We've seen it with Todd Bowley and what they've done already and how much they're willing to spend on competing at the top level. I'm not really sure if
It's a little bit different to the
So
question.
you're saying
that's a
Arsenal,
different-
Arsenal
you're
will
answering a
tilt,
different
more
question.
to come from Chelsea is,
Yeah,
is your
yeah,
Yeah,
argument.
but Chelsea. Yeah, but Arsenal
little-
have. Look, you're answering a different question.
No, it's
Arsenal have
but
a
the-
younger team which is currently outperforming your team.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like I can respect that, but I'm saying even with now the last few weeks we're already seeing like where the problems may lie in terms of.
But we've seen
him.
problems with Chelsea too. Man United played them off the park for 45 minutes. and
Yeah, but then he,
Graham
but
Potter-
then he
Chelsea's
made,
been
but then he,
terrible all
but then he
season.
made a change, and then it changed everything. Like I think, yes,
Didn't change the result really.
Didn't change the result. It was going to end up being a draw anyway. But like I said, I think yes, Arsenal are in a good position. I think Potter's been in the job five or 6 weeks. If after this season, let's say they both finish in the top 4 and then they're given the full season, I think Chelsea are going to be further along than Arsenal.
Are you saying that like, Arsenal are going to revert to type at some point? I feel like we're using the last 10 years as kind of a stick to beat with. Do you not think Arteta's taken them to new heights?
Yeah, I think definitely, but I'm not sure how far they can go. Like that's my only thing. If they're able to maintain this standard and let's say they only lose three or 4 more games, they draw a few or whatever. But I already see with their team, there's a lot more fatigue coming in. Everyone's talking about
This is a totally separate argument, Sam.
No, but
this
it's
is not about the
it's his
manager.
team. No, but it's his team and how he's managing his team. Yes, he might not have the players to depend on week in, week out, but we're already seeing that if he's playing the same players every week, is that just down to Arteta just?
It's down to squad depth.
But then that's also on him as well, though.
Okay, Joe's actually itching to jump in, so go for it.
I think the answer has to be Arteta here. I think the answer has to be Arteta because of the work he's done over the last 3 years to get to the point where they are now. I think all of Graham Potter's and Chelsea's potential is all hypothetical, total hypotheticals, whereas Arteta has actually laid physical groundwork over 3 years and built a young squad into the position where both statistically and in real data and by the eye test, they are the second best team in the Premier League right now. Whereas Graham Potter has been in the job 6 weeks. Yes, he's unbeaten, but the results and performances have
You can use
fluctuated.
this time at Brighton to inform your opinion as well, though.
You
can't
can, but
I
not
think
to
you
the
have to
level.
you have to do this question on hypotheticals.
I mean, not to the
But,
level.
but how can you not do it in hypotheticals when he's only been there for
Yeah,
6
but what
weeks?
he's saying is
I'm
what he's saying is
that
for the
you
other
don't
guy
have to.
isn't.
For Arteta's not hypotheticals. He's actually doing it and has done it.
But he's never been in this position. So
Neither has Potter.
But that's what I'm saying. If we're looking at both squads, yeah, and we're looking at how the managers.
We're not there, we're looking at the managers.
And we're
We're not
looking at
looking at
how the
squads.
manager is managing both squads. Yeah, you're saying, he's doing things that you wouldn't expect him to do. Sterling left wing back and things like that. Arsenal are playing. They're playing a system that
Better
has worked.
football.
They're playing better football.
So
they're
therefore, right now,
playing
you
a
would say
system
that
that
they
they're
are
playing
closest to Man City.
they're playing a system that works. But anytime he switches anything out, they look completely different.
So therefore,
That's not really
right
true. That's
now,
been true
at
the
this
last 2
moment,
weeks.
they are closer to winning a league title
more than
than
No, it
you
isn't.
are competing with Man City, aren't they? At this moment, right now.
Nothing
not the- that's not the question.
nothing that
Yes,
Sam
it is.
said,
No, it's
I
not
really
right now.
disagree with. I just think Sam's answering
It's
a
which
different
manager's going to
question.
be which manager.
Everything
will-
that you've
will
said
top
about
the
like
Man
problems
City.
with our team, I think is broadly right. Like it's just that you're answering a
Because
completely
the oth-
different
But
question,
that's-
which is
but I
about the
feel
squad
like that's-
depth.
But I
That's
feel like that's
nothing.
also. But I'm
What
not-
you're saying is Chelsea have unlimited resources and Potter will get to spend. Like you're saying, if he gets to stay
feel like that
there,
might be the next
then
question.
at the end of next year, like Potter will be in a better position. That may well be true because Chelsea do have unlimited
Right
resources.
now, in this
but that's a
moment
separate
today,
question.
Arteta has got
No
to the
one's really
point where he
disagreeing with the
deserves
point you're
that.
making.
But then I
You're
think-
making a slightly different point to what we're.
That's the only point I can use. The main point I can use in Potter's favour because I think right now they're in a similar position.
That's
I
quite a
could- I could
revealing
put-
turn of phrase. That's the main point I can use
No,
in
because
Potter's
because
favour.
I think that it's literally 50-50. Like I think it's.
But just to
Similar.
kind of elaborate on your answer, like Potter was brought in by Bowley because he's a project guy, right? And he's not going to be. He's not going to cause a lot of trouble in the short term. He's going to work with him. He's going to be collaborative. Do we think that a manager like that, who can maybe manage upwards really well, Arteta, it's got a little bit fractious at times, hasn't it? Like, do we think he's going to be around longer?
But I think that's
When-
a myth. I
when has
really,
it
I
got
really think
fractured?
the idea that Arteta's got fractures is a myth. I think other than the
I re-
players that absolutely had to go out the door, Aubameyang, 100% the right call
Yeah,
to let him
they
go,
do, yeah.
and Mesut Ozil, 100% the right.
They did back
time
him to
get
make those
go.
big decisions. Yeah,
They've
fair
both
enough.
massively been proven over the next year, in the case of Ozil, and in the case of half season over Aubameyang, that was absolutely the right decision to let those
No, the
players
board,
go.
I think there's no argument that the board.
The idea that it's fractures,
back
I
him down.
actually think is a bit of a myth. I think he's got his managerial decisions, which have been tough ones, spot on with big names.
I think you can honestly.
And again, if
go
we,
either way.
I just-
but even
I
again,
get
but
what
even
you're
again,
saying, but I
but
just-
even again, there
I
we're
think
getting
it's a
we're getting slightly off topic. Like then we're talking about who's the better manager, which is not the question. Again, I think if we're talking about who's the better manager, it's honestly 50-50.
Yeah,
If we're talking
I
about
agree.
who's in a better position to compete with their current club, I think it has to be Arteta because he's shown he has the job
I totally
security
agree.
that Potter still.
But it's easier
We
to
don't
say
know
that
whether
when they're
he'll
top
have
of the
it.
league. Like,
Right.
He's been in
But
the
I think,
job for
what
5
What are you
years.
talking about?
Like,
We
if you-
finished
if you-
eight.
Hold on.
As you
We've
said,
covered this
Sam.
for a long time now.
It's
So I
just
think
like every
team
week it's just f***ing Chelsea. Oh my god, it's just f***ing
Team-
Chelsea.
But it's
Like,
easier
oh
to-
my god,
why you get
Sam.
rattled? It's so easy for you to say that Arsenal on top of the league.
It's just boring. It's just like, oh, is one of the answers
No, but
Chelsea?
you have
Sam
to-
says Chelsea.
No, but you have to
Oh.
understand it's easier to say Arsenal while they're top of the league
Oh
and
my
Potter's been in the
God,
job
Sam.
for 5 weeks. It would literally be that. Like, if you're talking about where they can go in the future, you have to bring up these points. Like, or there won't be any argument. Arsenal are top of the league and they've been playing brilliant football.
Well, then
all
you've just
season.
made the argument for me.
No,
We're
but that's
just,
not-
yeah,
that's
you
a silly
literally make.
question then. It's a
Who?
silly
What
question
question are you
This is a
answering?
hypothetical
They're
question.
blaming
You
you
have
now,
to look at
mate. Now they're blaming you.
hypotheticals.
But we're using these points to argue. You can't get on the point.
No, you're not. You're answering a different point. You're using these points to say something completely
It's
different.
literally not.
You're approaching it from the point of view of how can I say Chelsea are better?
That's it. We're calling time
It's
on
fine.
this first round. Team Arsenal get the point. Let's move on. Right, the show's getting out of hand. I mean,
No,
this
it
is
isn't.
exactly
It is.
exactly
It is.
why
Friendship is
I
magic.
designed it as
Zach's
such.
got miserable. Zach's got all miserable. Now.
he's
I just don't
sad.
know.
He's
What,
got
I don't know what was said in the end.
He's got
I
puppy
can't
dog
understand.
eyes.
I can't understand what was said in the end. to be
Right.
honest. It went so off topic.
You said
it
you
wasn't-
thought Arteta was terrible and that Arsenal would not finish top 4.
Let's not get back into it, for sake. It's like Frankenstein's monster now. Right. Moving on to player battles then. Player-specific battles.
we
Starting
go.
with the goalkeeper. We're going to do these in quick-fire fashion.
Oh, here we go.
Like 30 seconds to argue for each one. You've got a real problem talking when other people are talking. I'm going to lob this pen at your head.
Potter or Arteta?
You said I was polite 5 minutes ago. Didn't give me a point then. So,
Potter.
yeah.
Oh, well. This close. This fucking close. Right, here we go. Kappa versus Ramsdale. Joe's already turned us. He's sick and tired of it. Ramsdale. Okay. No disagreement there. Let's move on to defenders.
Form though.
Yeah,
boy.
form. Different question there.
Goodness me.
Form. We are looking at a very.
Saliba.
Ramsdale's gonna have a very quiet
There we
Christmas.
go.
Saliba versus Fofana.
One's not played in 2 years.
Yeah, well, your other centre halves, one's about 48.
Yeah,
But if-
unbelievable.
if
If you said
we put
Thiago
that
Silva versus
up
Saliba
against
right
it,
now,
I will,
Saliba versus Thiago
I will
Silva.
change it to Thiago Silva right now.
Well, I'll even do that with that. I'll fill up the whole board. with
Live,
that
yeah?
one.
Everyone's
mean?
putting Silva. Well, don't worry about Saliba if you're going to not do it.
Saliba's having a great season.
No, I've got to have a think about it.
Have you?
Think what you want, then
Yeah.
then write Silva.
I'll say Saliba,
Fair play.
but it's very difficult.
He has maybe not a better chance.
I don't really
Saliba and 3 silvers. What made you not write Thiago Silva then?
I guess that Saliba is currently playing a more difficult role and doing more with it. Like Thiago,
Yeah, three at the back,
Thiago's
fair.
if I were relying on somebody to have a great defensive performance in a big game, make no mistake about it, I'm picking Thiago Silva. But Thiago Silva has played in a 3-back over the course of the last couple of years, and he's not required to be the most influential passer on his side, whereas Saliba leads the side in passes. He's really important at carrying but Saliba leads our side in it. He leads the side in carrying the ball forward. He leads the side
I've
in
seen
ball
a lot of
recoveries.
nodding from people who automatically went
I'm not nodding,
to
I'm
Silva.
just
He's
He's making good points, but it doesn't mean he's better than Silva.
Land finish.
Exactly. Like he's just doing. I guess he's doing a bit more, and I figured everyone else was going to put Silva. And to be honest with you, I do think Saliba. He's playing in a back 4 in a system which I still think has significant issues, not least in its number 6, who I think has had quite a bad start to the season. He's been atrocious. Been our worst player, and so I don't know. I'd look at it from that point of view. If they were both playing in a back 4, Saliba's going to be better. If they're both playing in the middle of a back 3, obviously Silva.
Silva's played
And
in
Silva's
the back.
career
Silva's
is-
played in the
Silva's
back
not been too
four.
bad in the
Silva's
back
played
four
in the
this
back
year
4
either.
a few times.
But there have
this
been
season,
men
and he's
that-
played-
yeah.
he's played
You
really
haven't
well.
been very good.
No, but we when Silva's playing, we're very
Got
good.
away with
All
it
right,
against
we'll
Palace.
leave that open to interpretation.
Is that why
Move
you're,
on.
is that why
Who
you're
got the
top of the
points?
league?
No, I'm not giving points to anyone in this round. I can't
Why
be
did we
fucking
waste
arsed, all
breath
right?
on that then?
For the fans.
We don't have any fans.
Right.
Not anymore.
For
We only have Zach's
the
fans.
reluctant subscribers.
Only fans.
Mount versus Odegaard.
What's the what? Potential? Who's better?
I second
Like what? In what? Creativity, potential, the better player. What is the?
However you want to articulate it in your argument.
Joe, go with your heart. Go with your heart, bro.
Go. Tomlinson.
Who's that?
Manny Mace.
Can we
Who
just,
is that?
Before I get.
Manny
Deduct
Mace.
him a point, Judge.
Oh,
Deduct
you
him 2
guys.
points.
Who is
Judge.
that?
Okay,
Money
so
Mace.
look,
He is a completely
points.
sourceless player, man.
I think they
I've
are
gotta say.
two extremely different players. I think Mount
Yeah.
is definitely a more versatile player. I think he's probably a better goal scorer. But I think
Yeah, though not
in
this
terms
season.
of- I think in terms of technicality and ability, I think Odegaard is actually clear of
I
Mason.
feel like you've gone
I'd
who you'd
agree
prefer
with-
to watch here.
I not only would prefer to watch,
Bit
and
of a
I think,
purist,
I think
didn't you?
Mount works in a variety of systems and a variety of roles. If I had a single sculpted role for one of these players, both in the same team, and I could get Odegaard in that 10 space, I think he is technically better than Mason Mount and a better creator.
I can sit here and tell you that in terms of potential and who could become like if you went to me which one of these two could win the Ballon d'Or one day, I'd go Odegaard.
God, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I'd say ceiling wise,
I think ceiling wise,
put Mount.
Odegaard.
Really?
I think because the way I view like the
Who'd have thought
ceiling
Mason
is
Mount
the
would
way you
would bring
like
everyone together?
Your ceiling is also the level you can produce. I feel like Mount is great, and season to season's getting better and better. But I think soon we're going to see kind of where Mount and it's going to be great. It's going to be a goal scoring midfielder who's getting double figures and goals and assists. But I think in terms of creativity and someone who's going to be, I mean, Mount is pretty important to Chelsea already.
No, but
I don't know if that, but I don't know
Did
if
you just
Ode-
change your argument halfway through
I
in
don't-
your own head?
what you-
Because I put Mason Mount down because my point was going to be anyway. Right now is how I'm picking these players. Like as how I picked Ramsdale and
Right now?
Well, no,
That's the one
but
way that
based
I
off
wouldn't
of,
pick
No,
now.
but not based off of the future. Based off of what's happened, what I've seen over their careers so far. That's why I didn't pick Kepa.
Okay,
before.
okay, fair
That's
enough.
why I would pick Mount over Odegaard right now because Mount has been very influential. Not saying Odegaard isn't influential for Arsenal, but basically over the past 3-4 years,
historically,
been
it's a
Chelsea's best player
non-contest.
every single time.
Sure. Though I
that's-
guess I would
when
argue
you
that
viewed
this
it- you
season
viewed it in
Odegaard is probably
future.
our most
not even
influential
in-
player,
not-
maybe.
But again, I would also argue
I think
Mason
not
Mount's
even in
Chelsea's most
Yeah,
influential.
but
think
you're
even
crap
not
on
even in
Odegaard.
future.
I think the only thing he has over Odegaard has over Mount is his creativity. Like
That is quite a major part of
No,
it.
no, but
But that's his game,
fair.
isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
that's
all he-
fair.
yeah,
That's
that's what
fair.
he's there.
But
Whereas
Yeah.
Mason,
I think
no,
Mount-
and leading the press.
I think Mount's
He is
way
meant
more
to be, yeah.
versatile. He can score goals. You know, defensive numbers are great. Like, yeah, it's,
But
it's
you know
a
when
tough one. though.
Odegaard, when there's those passages of play in really compact areas,
He's
and he's
gonna
able
break
to
the
work it
defense
out of the
down,
defense.
yeah,
That's why I
100.
watch football.
do you know?
You know,
I'd also know.
I love him.
But Mount's also got ability. Like Mount's ability on the turn
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
I'm
I
very
think he's one of
excited
the
to see
best in
Arsenal
the
versus
world.
Chelsea this
Yeah.
weekend.
I'd also note that some of Arsenal's
I wouldn't say he's
poor
as flashy.
play or bad results in the last couple of weeks have been when Odegaard was taken off when he shouldn't have been. Like there were times when it looked like
Back to Arteta versus
decisions.
Potter.
against Southampton, for example, I think Arsenal could have made a breakthrough, but made a decision to bring off Odegaard, and it was a huge problem. Like I think he's been
So you're telling me right now that
I think he's been
Mikel Arteta
phenomenal
makes
lately.
poor decisions with his substitutes.
All right, ready? We're ready
Yeah,
to move
but
on
I
from
think
attack.
your club makes poor decisions.
These managers.
I probably would have said Mount, but I'm going to give Joe a point for saying Odegaard
thanks,
because,
man.
I'm a sucker.
You give points based on.
I changed my mind.
You can't give points based on just
change-
someone
you said
picking
you're
the
not doing
opposite.
points.
Otherwise, I'd just pick the
You said you're not
opposite.
doing
And yeah,
points
you
in
weren't
this
doing
round.
points.
You're missing
Stick
the
to your
point of
word.
this show.
Stick to your word.
Minus,
No, but otherwise-
This
minus
show
one
was
for
set
Sam.
up so
Stick to
that
your
Chris
word.
could be
Minus
the
one
king.
for Sam and another minus one for Zach.
Oh, gonna break the record today. Jesus Christ! I'm on
All right.
-4.
You're like those kids in class
You
that
can't,
enjoy
say,
getting
you
told
can't
off.
say that in church. Stop saying
You
that.
cannot just change the rules
What do you mean?
mid-game.
That's
bro.
literally what I do every week.
Oh, I can see the f***ing comments now going.
I am the
fucking
rules.
Zach moaning all the.
Right.
Oh.
He's so-
Joey's doing what I've done for the past 2 team talks.
Enjoy
where
your
I sit
slop,
there, I sit
piggies.
there silently and I don't say anything. And I get points.
Here
for
it
being
comes.
quiet.
Spoon
There's
the
no-
slop into your
I'm not
trough,
sitting
piggies.
here-
You know what?
Don't
I'm
want to
not
be
sitting-
challenged.
I'm not sitting here
Shouldn't
silently.
be. He's
You
United
just
fan.
speak so much.
He's a
You
United
speak
fan.
so much.
He's a United
I
fan.
can't get
Yeah. Shouldn't be.
seriously. Do you not stop
Joe,
speaking in like 40 minutes?
Pointless.
Joe's rattled. Joe is rattled. Joe's officially rattled.
Hey,
We need like David Attenborough in
Joe-
this to be like, Joe has been
Jesus.
rattled.
But anyway, let's move on to attack.
can't win,
Sterling versus Martinelli.
Oh yeah. Oh, what do you do this on?
Is this? It's 2 streets, isn't it? I mean,
One's failed to win the Ballon d'Or. One will win the Ballon d'Or.
3, 2, 1, flip. Martinelli, you get to explain why.
It's really just on the
He'll get
basis
the
of
point.
this season. Like, he's just been better this season.
Hold on,
He's
did you just say I'll give him a point? Your sass
Thanks,
is going to
Zach.
get you nowhere.
Cheers, Zach.
Continue.
It's just on the basis of this season. Like, he's actually been a very good creator from wide this season, and he's a really good goal threat. His underlying numbers are better than Sterling's, better XG per 90. Sterling's are just okay.
But the better
so
player
He's the only, he was
is-
better at Manchester City. You're right. He hasn't been that great at Chelsea yet. He's been your best attacker. Don't get me wrong. And career-wise, I mean, this would be a joke. But like, Martinelli, I think this season so far has been a more important player. But sure, I mean, career-wise,
No,
it's
really
easy.
good.
It's
Points
very
for
obvious, isn't
everyone but Zach.
it's very
right?
obvious, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you want to? Do you want
George,
to?
put that down.
Do you want to chip in?
It's historically it's Sterling and Martinez having a better season. That's it. Isn't
Yeah.
it? That's what
But-
everyone's going to say.
Yeah.
But you can also argue that Sterling historically is obviously way better, though that's not really Martinelli's fault for being 21.
Yeah.
But and Martinelli's only been a bit better than Sterling.
This
this
would be really
season.
interesting to do
in a
in-
struggling side.
Going
So you can make the argument either way. Really.
Going through the two teams, there wasn't that many like-for-like players. It is a little bit bizarre. But yeah, I suppose
That'd be really
that's
interesting
Two
in-
different systems played, right?
In 5 years' time or
That's
something.
quite an
That'd
interesting
be quite
point,
interesting.
actually. Yeah.
Round 3. This is a complete football Twitter round. Who is the bigger club?
I'm afraid it is an absolute tap.
3, 2, 1, flip.
Yeah.
How meek you were. So no, but
Now, yeah.
Oh, we
Don't-
won the
no,
European Cup.
No,
No, let-
listen,
let him answer. Go on.
listen, yeah. Every time I have this conversation with Arsenal fans, they always
Every
say,
time how often do you?
"Let me." Are you gonna let me speak? Are you gonna let me speak, Pat? Because you're not let me speak today.
I feel like it would be.
You
better
not let
for
me
your
speak
reputation
today.
if I
You
did
not let
that.
me speak. Yeah.
Oh, here it comes.
You're not giving him any minus points when he's disrupting me, are you? Anyway,
if you interrupt him once more, Pat, minus a point.
yes.
Oh, no.
There you go.
So
mate.
yeah, Arsenal fans have said, yeah, obviously, if you go back 50 years, 60 years, you've won more trophies.
you
Yeah,
were aren't you?
which is fair enough. We weren't that great, but in the last 25 years, yeah, the way we have caught up, if not overtaken, with the European trophies, with the Premier Leagues that we've won. George, you can get red face behind the screen, but it's a fact. We've won 2 Champions League trophies. We've won 4 European trophies in the last 10 to 12 years. Arsenal have been to 1 Champions League final. If we're talking about a big club, yeah, you cannot tell me you are that big without winning a European
Trying to
trophy.
define a big club by,
I'm not gonna lie here.
by judging their
but
performance
also
in the
by
biggest
just
competition
changing the
isn't the worst.
It's not
argument.
the ma- it's not ma-
except by changing the time, we could easily say, over the last 2 months, Arsenal have been way
It's
better than Chelsea.
25 years.
Right, Arsenal
It's
have been way
25
better.
years,
yeah,
though.
but saying, we're going to avoid the history of the club.
I'm not taking
in
that away,
favour
but
of some of the history
if we're
of
going
the
off the
club.
Premier League, yeah,
I'm not
we've
gonna
won
lie.
more Premier Leagues.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm the only neutral in the room here, and I think this is a non-contest. Like I think
damning. It's
I
damning.
think Chelsea, yes, have a lot of recent success,
Furious.
have won a European Cup. Arsenal, in terms of the scale of the club, the history, the titles they've won over the years,
How many Premier Leagues?
It's just, I think it's.
When's the last time they
More
won
than-
one?
They've won
like
13,
14 or
14.
something?
When's the last time they
Fourteen.
won one though?
Top tier leagues.
We've won more
I just think
titles
probably
than
won-
Chelsea.
I reckon they
I
probably
think
won
history goes-
double
I think
the amount of leagues you've won.
I think history and
One at a time,
because
please. Come
like,
on.
otherwise
Zach
you
is
sit-
speaking. Zach
otherwise
is
you sit there and
speaking.
you go Nottingham Forest are
Okay,
bigger
so,
than
so
Chelsea.
So Man City,
Yeah,
are, a
correct.
big, Man City are a bigger
Correct.
club than you then.
Ended.
no.
They haven't even
because
won.
I would also say
They've won way more league titles in recent years than you.
No,
Way
I would
more.
say-
No, they haven't.
Yes, they
Well,
have.
hey,
They've won
come
4
on,
of the last
let's
5
give
league
George a
titles.
chance in the edit. Come on.
They've won 4 of the last 5 league titles. So recently,
Bro,
that makes them a bigger club, does it?
in recent
In a way
history,
bigger
we've
club
won
than
what
Chelsea.
5 Premier League titles as well. Bro.
Way bigger club than
Not in the last
Chelsea.
5 years though. So if you're going on a recent time frame,
Well,
But
No-
I'm
no
saying
one's big fan
25.
City.
I'm saying 25 years.
And he's saying
Yeah,
5
and I'm
years.
saying
You
over
just
the
say any
course
number
of
of
an
years.
actual hundreds of years of football, Arsenal have been massive compared to you.
Yeah, and I'm saying
He's
if
played the
they-
massive bomb.
And you're saying if we ignore
their team-
100 years of history,
I'm not saying ignore it. I'm not saying ignore it.
That's
yeah, but
literally
I'm
what you
talking.
said.
I'm not, bro.
Wait,
You
who
lot
has
are huge.
who has the worst fans?
Arsenal fans are toxic. You know what the worst thing about it is? Yeah, a lot of them weren't even back in Arteta. Bare
Oh
of
my
these players
God.
now. Now they're all moving like Pat, like they've been #1 fans. You didn't even watch football for the last 3 years. Now you're talking like you're some like fam. Nah, man, I'm not having it no more, man.
Alright, let's-
Sam,
Right,
you-
Arsenal fans all the same, man.
Let's be real.
They're all the same.
It's,
If
I don't watch
as a
football,
neutral
why do I know
perspective, it's
more?
not.
It's
I find that-
Celtic. Celtic are bigger than all of them, and that is the end of the
we
show.
done?
No one is getting a point
What are you
for
talking
that.
about?
How am I not getting a point for that?
Don't give me a sass, boy. Okay, that is the end of the show. Scores at the door are Jedab on -3. Who was
My boy,
No, that's a failure for you.
Sam got 1.
come on. It's better than the 0 last time.
Pat got 3.
Don't know how that happened.
And Joe also got
He's-
3, but I'm
he's-
going to give him a bonus point because he doesn't support either of these teams
Yeah, and
and
I've
should be
been roped
rewarded
in.
But
as
coming
such.
in
I
the
am
red
very
shirt to do
much
that
worse
is
I have been roped
these
in.
days.
toxic, man.
I've been roped in.
FD is toxic. If you made it to this point, you're probably a toxic character as well.
This is rough. Apologies.
Yeah, nice one. Bye.